Hi, everybody. My name is Alan Yagdjian. I am an ergonomist, and I'm going to today explain to you a little bit about trackpads. Some people prefer the trackpad over a standard mouse. If you have any question about what the trackpad really is, it's that pad in front of typically found in front of a keyboard on a laptop. Um, it senses the slight uh, electric charge from the tips of your fingers as you slide it across. It moves the cursor around. You can always adjust the sensitivity usually, so that small movements make sort of a more movement on the screen, or you can have it not so sensitive where it's better for really precise movements on the screen. So I'm today I'm just going to explain a little bit about the ergonomics behind trackpads. Are they good? Are they bad? And a couple ways in which we can practice good posture and technique when using a trackpad. So let's get started. I have a trackpad right here. It's an Apple trackpad, the second version, right here. And I'm going to take away this pad for now, and I'm just going to kind of go over what happens typically when someone does use a trackpad. So typically you see people, they place their palms here in front of the trackpad on a hard flat surface. Now this trackpad is very low profile, which is important because in considering the posture of the hand when using it, especially if we are placing the palms of our hand in front of it. So as you can see, if I were to extend my fingers out and use the trackpad with my fingers extended, I have more of a flat positioning on top of my wrist. Now the center of rotation of movement of the wrist is when the top of the wrist is flat here. And that's important because that's the neutral posture of the wrist. Okay, if I extend my fingers out, you can see I'm doing like a karate chop. That means that wrist is neutral. Okay, so in fact, when you place your palms in front of that trackpad and go ahead and use the trackpad with our fingers extended, you're able to get more of a neutral posture of our wrist. However, there is a trade-off there. What ends up happening now is one, you have one when your fingers are extended here and you're manipulating the mouse, you're actually putting more studies have shown that you put way more pressure in your carpal region than when your fingers are slightly curved. So even so, even though maybe your wrist is in a more neutral position, which has also shown that position is a factor in reducing pressure in that carpal area here. But there is that trade-off. So neither is the best. I mean, neither curling your fingers and then extending your wrist out because of the posture factor there, wrist factor there, or extending your fingers out and then reducing the posture factor, but then also increasing the force in that region. So the best thing to do is raising the wrist up above the actual desk surface in front of the mouse there. So ideally, we're going to be sort of like dipping our hand in like ink and then painting with our fingertips here, like you're playing the piano or something like that. So, and if you do have, so for if you really because the trackpad really needs like a lot of fine-tuned movements and the ability to kind of like plant and then kind of like um, use that as a reference point when moving your fingers around on the mouse. It almost becomes necessary to sometimes plant your wrist. Okay, but if you're gonna do it, one thing to think about is what finger are you using? Are you using your index, middle? No one ever really uses the pinky or the ring, but are we going to use either? Which one of these fingers is better? Okay, peace. So, um, so most people use their index finger, but I do sometimes see people using their middle finger, and so by watching people, using each one, I've seen differences there. And which one have I seen to cause better postures of the wrist? And that one is the middle finger. So we want to use the middle finger. And why? Well, I'm trying to angle this the right way. So if I use my index finger, what ends up happening here? Now let me go to the side here. Okay, if I use my index finger, you could see that I specifically have like a specific point that really I need to be pressing on the desk here. So as you can see, my wrist angle is quite. I have a lot of extension of the wrist, so that angle is really poor. So now I'm going here. I'm manipulating with my finger, and that's usually how that works. However, if I switch to my middle finger, so now that wrist posture goes from there to there. Now, if I pronate my wrist, now I'm in a more neutral posture because my wrist has now turned to that more vertical position. This is the neutral. This is fully turned, pronated there. So I'm actually supinating my wrist. Sorry, supination of the wrist a little bit more. And now with my middle finger, now you can see that the pressure is off of this dangerous area. Okay, that carpal. Okay, so middle finger is the winner here. It also sometimes straightens. I mean, and it causes also a straightening of the wrist there too. So a little less extension. It takes the pressure off, and it also magically adds a little bit of that translational movement that I talked about before with the Performance MX mouse. So yeah, use your middle finger if you're going to use a trackpad. And now let's talk about things that we can use to improve our posture when using a trackpad. So it is a low profile mouse, but as you can see, that low profile only really works if my fingers were flat. So how do we fix that? Well, here's a gel pad. Simple solution. You put it in front of the device. You could put it as close to it as you want because the sensor is pretty much everywhere, and there's no real space bar here or anything. It's not a keyboard, so really you could explore anywhere you want. You could put it however you typically, wherever you plant your wrist. Okay, you could even put it like this, to get a little more surface. But it really doesn't matter. It should be at your discretion where to put it. However, thickness does matter. I'd say at least half an inch is good, and something like an elastomer gel are fantastic. There's also ones that you can put into a microwave or a freezer, and it'll actually, if you have any wrist issues, you can have a cold compress or heat in that fashion. So, those are all options, but essentially these are great for solving the issue if you really are a planter of the wrist. and then I would recommend one of these guys. They and then also in using your middle finger, it would also help as well. But definitely, you can see, as I use my index finger, how flat the top of my wrist is and how neutral that is, and I still have that curvature of my finger as opposed to there. Okay, and a hard surface, putting that direct pressure on that carpal is bad. Bad. All right, so. Thanks, guys. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, and have a great day.